So I'm CJ. I'm Christopher John Cachola. My nickname is CJ. C is for Christopher and J is for John. And then I'm 18 years old. Incoming third year student, AB Political Science. And I have 3 terms left. 3 terms left before graduation. And as of now, I'm having my summer internship at the Office of the Vice President. Um, my city address is just here in Vita Cruz. So, Burgundy West P Tower, Pio Campus Street, Malate, Manila. And my ID number is 112. And my CGPA is, I think, 3.5. Yeah, 3.5. I've been a consistent DINS lister since first year, first term. A first honor DINS lister from first year to the second term of second year. But then on the third term, the previous term, I wasn't able to make it up to first, so I was second honor DINS lister. As of now, I have different organizations. I'm an active writer of the Lasallian. This is my third year in the Lasallian as a university writer. And I'm also a member of Malata Literary Folio, but not that active. And then I'm a volunteer at Campus Sustainability Office, a student volunteer at Campus Sustainability Office. So the second question is, what are your strengths and weaknesses? Well, I think in my part, my strengths and weaknesses is that having a talent in writing is a big strength for me. I think being part of ACG, you really need to be good in writing, and I think it's one of my strengths. Another is that I believe that I have leadership skills, and way back high school, I was part of the student council, and I think I have this skills where I can mingle and cooperate with others, and cooperation is really a very important matter in terms of working with each other. So those are my strengths: my writing skills, my skills in cooperating, and working with others. And then another one is I'm academically inclined. So when you say academically inclined, it's not that I'm just into academics, but I can actually balance everything. Having an experience way back high school with many organizations, I think it's a good start. It was a good experience. So writing, cooperation, and balance. Next is another strength of mine is, I think, accepting mistakes. It's always been a strength when you can accept your mistakes. Part of my weaknesses is that I have this weakness when it comes to coping up with people that I really don't like. Even though I can mingle and cooperate with each other. I can adjust. It's that when people are not really interested in you, like they don't really want to adjust for you, well, I don't care. I think that's part of my weakness. Well, a person like me doesn't usually look into my weaknesses, but into my strengths. But maybe that's one of my weaknesses. So why did I join ACG? Basically, I joined ACG because I wanted to get back to the track of leadership skills. On my past few years in DLSU, I've been into organizations which are into writing, like Malate and the Lasallian. I've been stuck with the Lasallian for how many years? So I guess it's time for me to get back to track because way back high school, I was involved into so many leadership related organizations. Aside from getting back to track, I think ACG is a good training ground for me before graduation, and I feel like being part of ACG is like being part of a family where you can enjoy. So I've seen photos before of ACG members, and I feel like it's good to be part of ACG. It feels nice to be in ACG. It feels like you have a family. So that's it. It's basically being part of something that you could be recognized or you could be treated like a family. So that's ACG. But besides that, it's an organization where you have to work, but working with a family. It's a different feeling. Unlike ours in the Lasallian, we've been too formal. So I think ACG is also about family. Same as the Lasallian. It's that just in ACG, it's more of a family. So why did you choose your top three choices as the committee you wanted to? So my top three committees that I wanted is first Liberal Arts Network, then Associate Treasurer, then third is Academic Affairs. So Liberal Arts Network, it was my first choice because I wrote articles that wherein I need to consult STC. So I had this feeling where I could relate to whatever they need. So when I've read the definition of liberal arts network, it doesn't just pertain to the um, CAP connections and relationships, but also to the connection to the STC. In having this relationship, I mean having established this connection with STC, I think it's a big help for me to be a part of the Liberal Arts Network Committee, and it could be better if one of the top positions in the Liberal Arts Network, because I've been connected to several offices there. I've interviewed them for several times, and having interviewed them for several times, I have this background of how they feel, how they do, and what do they do in STC, and what problems do they face. And I think having pinpointed the problems they faced, it could be easier for me to start with the work. And next is, since Liberal Arts Network is pertaining to establishing the connections and relationships of in between the CAP, I think since I'm good in mingling with others and building cooperations, it's a lot easier. I feel I feel best in being part of the Liberal Arts Network. Next is Associate Treasurer, because I'm really into things where I could engage myself and be part of something like where I could have sweat in it, or where I could do some efforts. So being part of Associate Treasurer, I think I would be more involved in excuse me. I would be more involved in fundraising activities, and I think I have this marketing skills for fundraising activities since I'm part of the marketing and staff of Malate. I have this good marketing skills where people usually comment to well, and I think it is helpful. And I'll be a big help in Associate Treasurer, in the committee of Associate Treasurer, because I'm good in advertising and, as I've said, marketing. Next is Academic Affairs, because I was really fascinated with the Academic Affairs Committee of CLA ever since first year, because it's like it has a hassle part. I mean, it has a hassle job, but then parang worth it siya. Even though sobrang hassle, parang masaya. Well, basically, the three committees that I've written to wasn't just based on my capabilities, but was based on my gut feelings where, like, I feel comfortable. When you read something and after processing it into your head, you'll actually realize if you feel comfortable to it or not. Like at first, when you read the name, oh, it feels good. You'd have this initial feeling that this committee feels good, and I think that having these three committees, I think it feels good. Yeah. So the next question is, give us an instance wherein you stepped up. So for me, an instance where I stepped up was way back in high school, where our whole batch was experiencing like a difficulty with one teacher. But then the problem is that she was like the head of all the heads of teachers in our school. So like fighting against her means you're fighting against her allies, which are under her, which are also your teachers and might affect your academic standing. And not like cooperating with them is like you're against them. So basically, like way back in high school, it would affect everything. But then, don't want to go into details. But the main point is that she reached her limits, wherein we could no longer take it, to the point that she's explicitly showing her favoritism. So when she got to that point, I was the one who stepped up and said, "Why do you need to do that? Why do you need to do this? Why should this be like this?" Well, of course, it was inside the classroom where I had to answer her, where her daughter was also our classmate. So, could you just even imagine that I was having a dialogue with a teacher where her daughter is my friend and was also inside the classroom as a student? So it was really a difficult part where you have to balance between being a friend to that friend of yours who's her daughter and being a student, and at the same time being a leader. Being a leader means you have to fight for your batch. Being a student means you have to respect the teacher and take note of your grade and be conscious of your grade, which might affect. And the next is being a friend. So it's really a hard thing where you have to make a decision. But what I did is that I chose being a leader. I think being a leader doesn't just mean that you took a side, being a student and being a friend at the same time. I think it's like choosing the best out of the worst choices. So it was being a leader. I was in the worst scenario. So what I did is that I took everything into process. I reported her to the Department of Education, had every cases filed, because I didn't go into details because it is somehow sensitive. So that's it. We didn't stop until we reached the judgment that we wanted to and the equality. So that was the time where I stepped up because like no one was willing to step up and say stop. So I was there to say stop. I had everything into process, just like what I've said. The next question is that what is a random item in your bedroom that best describes you? I think a random item in my bedroom that best describes me is the favorite novel, that the book that it's a series of book that I've always read. It's entitled The Wimpy Kid because way back grade school I had a series of books of Wimpy Kid. So that's it. So it's an item in my bedroom because my collection of the series of book is there, and it best describes me because from the story itself it's like a book for kids. So I can describe myself as someone who's a kid. When you say kid, it's not a person who's immature. I'm pertaining to being a kid, like being open to everything, that you could mingle to everyone, and that you could always accept your mistakes because you're always open to mistakes and you're always open to learning. Being a kid is always open to learning because we have to admit that as a kid, we'd always wanted to learn. And having this book, comparing myself to this book, is like because it's a story of a kid who's growing up. I think I could compare myself to someone who's growing up, and that that my life is a series, and that I have to face it. So it's just like the book of the Wimpy Kid. It's a series. My life is a series. The character is a kid who's growing up. I know I am still a kid who's growing up, and I am ready to learn and be mature. But I guess it's not just about growing up, but it's about applying what you have learned and showing that you are becoming more mature through the series. So I think I could compare myself to that. So before I end this video, I would just like to say that I think I should be accepted to ACG, not just because I'm good in writing, but I have the leadership skills and I've got what it takes to be part of the ACG.